Binary.com was previously called bettermarkets.com. They renamed slightly. There are various binary companies. I like this one. I've dealt with them for 14 years, which seems like yesterday that I opened an account. I've had no problems with them. They've always paid me out. Good customer support. It's an internet-based company. Nice thing about Binary.com, you can open a virtual account or a real account, and you can start with very little money and build up. So it's a far simpler way to trade options than options. It's a good way to back short-term movements, or see, let's say for instance your seasonal studies show that the 1st of June is a good day to be long. Then you can do that through a binary bet. It's a great way. You can start with small amounts. You can also trade big amounts as well. The maximum risk is known. So is the maximum profit as well, though. So if you bet £10 on a fixed odds bet, that is it. You cannot basically lose more than your stake. And in fact, you can also sell out sometimes earlier as well. However, the profit is also known as well. You can adjust parameters to suit your own risk. Fixed odds or binary bets, it's not a case of this replaces spread betting. It lives with it. Imagine you're a mechanic, you've got different tools in the toolbox. This is another tool that you can use. All right. Now, I've written a little book on this. It's actually probably, by the time you see this, there'll be a new cover because I've just done an update and the name has been changed slightly as well. But the contents are pretty much the same. You can download it from thefinancialtrader.com. It's a little ebook on fixed odds trading. And as I say, the version that you'll get off the website will be right up to date as well. And you can put that on your iPad or just read it. And I've gone more into fixed odds on there. Now, seasonality. I've put a sample page in the workbook. It's something called the Stock Traders Almanac. But let's say, for instance, markets are bullish November to December, which they are. Normally in the US, stocks tend to do quite well during November and December, and gold tends to do quite well in September. Tends to be a bad month for stocks. Trading ranges. So far we've talked more about, obviously we like trends, which we do, but we can also make money from trading ranges as well. Remember what we said about support and resistance? Support is basically the bottom. Resistance is the ceiling. So we can make money by something going in, staying in a range. And that's really good for fixed odds bets. So this is an example of the German DAX. Now, if we were spread betting the German DAX during this period, whether we were long or short, we probably didn't make much money. Now, okay, yeah, you could buy the bottom, sell it at the top. But what we could do with a fixed odds bet, if we start seeing a trading range, is saying, I want to bet that the German DAX will stay between 5,800 and 6,300. And as long as it stays within that range, we make money. So here's another example. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier when we were talking about currencies. The euro versus the pound, 2005, 2006, 2007, almost 2008, it stayed within a narrow range for a long period and finally broke out, as normally they do. So, the way to have made money there is literally trading ranges within a very good way. So just to reiterate, support is basically when we see the floor, and you see what's occurred in the example, and we can place a high bet, for instance, Wall Street, or because they don't say Dow Jones, because again, there's a copyright issue, will be higher than the support level in so many days. And then resistance is obviously exactly the opposite. So this is a screenshot from binary.com. And again, I encourage you to get a demo account and you can play around and try, without real money. And what I've said here is the Wall Street index in the next 180 days, and I've just used that as a long-term example, but it could be anything. The minimum is 7 days. The payout, you can choose anything from £10, £20. You can change that to dollars. You can change that to Australian dollars. And then we've got a choice here of higher or lower. And then the barrier, that's what the current price was at the time of the Dow. So call it 15,000. And if I want to make £1,000, that's my stake, £576. And if I want to purchase it, I just press purchase. So my return is 74%. So it's not £1,000 of pure profit. It's my stake plus the difference. So my net profit is £425.34p. Because obviously I've also put up the 574 stake. If I get it totally wrong, the most I can lose is the stake. I can't lose any more than that. Now again, if I want to go the other way round, lower, it'll actually give me slightly better odds on that at the moment. Again, it's 109%, so the stake is 479, and again, the expiry date on this is the 7th of April. Now, you can sell the bet back sometimes earlier, but normally with fixed odds, that doesn't particularly work fantastically. So I just used a long date example, but this can be much shorter as well. So again, support and resistance, and we can also, we can bet for something to stay in a range. We can also bet for something to go out of a range as well. So here we go. Here is what's called an in-out bet. And I've used the Euro GBP. All right. And we've got a lower barrier and a higher barrier. And we can set these parameters. Everything here is variable. Now, if we make the range bigger, that's going to be a lower odds bet because there's less chance of it happening. But we can choose, everything's variable. So in this case, again, 9 days, I can change that to any days I want to. The minimum is 1 day. Again, £1,000 could be £10, could be $1,000. And I'm saying it stays in between, stays strictly in between. So imagine it can't go out. If it goes out even a little bit, the bet will lose. So that stays between or goes outside, which is the opposite. It's either going to break up or break down. So what I'm trying to get the idea, there's different ways you can back a market and quite flexible ways which are not necessarily available with spread bets. So we can profit from range markets. So most of the time, if a market's doing a range where the bulls and the bears are fairly matched, as I showed you the DAX example. We can also bet in and out for something to break out of a range or, as I say, stay in a range. And this example here, I've used gold. Now, with binaries, you don't have as much choice. It's mainly currencies, indices, and a couple of commodities. I think in time, they will add more products, but there's still plenty for you to get started with. How much do you want to trade? So here's an example on gold. And they quote it as gold versus the US dollar, but really it's gold. The spot is what the price is right now. So it's 13.23 when I'm doing this. The barrier is 13.52, so it's 30 points in 7 days. So I'm saying that gold's going to go up 30 in the next 7 days, and the return on that is 72. Or if it doesn't touch it, it's almost the same, 69. Okay, so I've got a choice here. I can either bet for something to touch something or bet for something not to touch something. And this is much easier than using options. If you were doing options, you'd find it's much, much harder. So you can trade gold against the euro and the dollar. Normally, because gold is trading dollars, if the dollar is strong against the euro, you find that that's not good for gold because it makes gold more expensive. You can trade one touch bet. Say, for instance, the DAX has broken a support of 4,000. You tend to find markets a little bit like lightning. They'll go to the next support or resistance level. And that's been touched. Say 4,000 has been broken, you can look at 4,100 or 4,200. And same again with the moving average. If a 50-day moving average is broken, sometimes you can see the market's next stop will be the 200-day moving average. So these are all things that you can do with fixed odds. And as I say, you can try these ideas out. You don't have to put a lot of money out, and you can run this alongside your normal spread betting or other accounts as well. So it's another way to do it. The Stock Traders Almanac I mentioned, you can buy that from Amazon or any of the bookshops. And again, what you'll find in the Stock Traders Almanac, it dices and slices what normally happens at certain times of the year. Of course, it doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, but seasonality is another little thing that we can look at. If seasonally October is a very weak period in a certain market, then maybe we want to be careful about going long or how much we go long as well. And there's a sample in your workbook towards the end of a sample page. So the Stock Traders Almanac is a little bit like a diary. The first day of the month has historically been very strong for markets. And the reason being is a lot of new money comes into the markets on the first day or the second day of the month. Like pension funds, they get new money and they have to invest it. So that's quite interesting as well. All right, so what we'll do now, let's go on to the binary.com site and just do a little quick look at it actually working in real time, in real action. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to look at binary.com. All I've done is just logged onto the internet, and I'm actually doing this live. I've got to be careful actually, because this is my real account with real money in it, so I want to make sure that I don't click anything that I don't want to click. All right, so say you can have a demo account and a real account. You can actually have both. In fact, I should have given you a £20 credit when you first got your package. It should be on the letter that came with the package. All right, so you've got currencies, Forex, and you can literally, choose any particular currency pair that they're offering a market in, and there's plenty to choose for. So let's say, for instance, the pound against the Japanese yen. Right now, that's the spot price in real time. That's exactly what the, what the market is, and you'll see it moving as we move along. The start time is now, and then we can choose basically what duration, whether it be days. So let's say in the next 2 days or 5 days, and that's like business days. It won't necessarily be, weekends or bank holidays won't be counted. And what it's offering me here on the side is, and I've got that in dollars, but that can be in pounds. So say, for instance, or Australian dollars or euros. So let's put that into pounds. So I want to win £2,500. Let's change that to there. And it'll price all this in real time. If the GBP yen is strictly higher than the entry price, and the entry price will be this. Or, again, if I think the price is going to fall, I would hit this one here. And these are the returns. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to put £25. And I believe, I've done the charts, and it says, I think it's going to be higher. The pound is going to be higher than that level. So I click purchase. Wait a little second, and that's it, done. Your trade has been executed. And if I go into my account, and it'll be in the portfolio there. Do you want to find another contract? Do you want to make another trade? And it's as simple as that. I can obviously change. That was a rise 4 bet. I can do higher, lower, or in, out. Do you remember when we looked at the barrier ranges? So if I think that something's going to stay in a range, and everything here I can change. You can also see a chart of the underlying market. And the other thing here you see, it'll do a little video clip, and it'll explain what that means. See? It shows you where you win and where you don't win. All right, so you're very, very clear on what the outcome is, or what what you expect. And there are other binary companies as well, but I've always found binary.com, or Better Markets as they were called, were very good because they've been around a long time. I'm always worried about some of these binary companies. It's great, it's hard enough making money in markets without the bookmaker sort of like trying it on, or, getting into trouble or what have you. So I always say, look, stay with the companies you know. And I've never had a problem with binary.com. Stocks, they do have some stocks, but it tends to be shorter term. Commodities, the main commodities tend to be gold, oil, and silver. Random indices are, as they say, they're random. They're basically markets which, you can actually trade them at the weekend when nothing's open. Sectors, I think it's relatively new. I think they've only just started to do that. Corn index, yeah, they've opened some new indices, and I think that's just still early days for that. But the main thing that binary is very popular is currencies. They're very big on the currencies and indices as well. And quite strong on Australian and some of the Indonesian markets as well, because they've got customers all over the world. So with a binary bet, as I say, it gives you another way to trade a market that's not necessarily with spread betting. It's limited risk. It's not a case that you have to go crazy. And look, you can trade literally with small amounts. You can trade down to £2. Where else can you actually trade a market with £2? And that well, it's not even £2. The payout is £2. The actual stake is £1.16. And just to be clear again, it's not that you'll win £2 plus your stake back. It's included within your stake. Yeah. So that's why the returns are obviously this percentage. So it's got charting in here as well. You've got some resources. They actually have an analyst who does quite a good update on binary bets and actually gives you some ideas as well. I wouldn't necessarily just sort of follow blindly, but you get some good things. A guy called Dave Evans that does quite a good update there. And as I say, they've got various charting tools here as well. Mainly